From the great state of Texas, you are now listening to Skip the Noise podcast live on Podbean. It's just me, Benjamin Benji James, hosting the show. We were going to record tonight, the weekly show. However, things happened. I was going to say a couple of my co-hosts, but that'd be a little bit redundant, and there are only a couple. My co-hosts felt a little bit ill, so we decided to postpone. However, I was all set up. The designated night to redo it would be tomorrow, which I might not be able to make, so I decided to go ahead and go live and see what kind of fuckery we can stir up here online. Sometimes some interesting people call the show, sometimes not. There's plenty I can talk about, though. I have somebody joining us, 86 World. How are you? Also have the 100-Yard Alchemist. What is going on? If either one of you would like to call in, you're more than welcome. If you've never heard the Skip the Noise podcast, where it's a weekly show, what's up? What's up, 100-Yard Alchemist? Why 100 yards? Explain the name. You may be. It's been a long time since I've gone live. We do a weekly show, myself and two other co-hosts, that we upload to all the different applications in which you can download podcasts, but I don't go live too much on the Podbean. I used to. So it's been a while. I'm not very familiar with all the people. What's going on, 100 Yard? Possibly we can discuss some current events that are going on in your neck of the woods or elsewhere. What about you, 86 World? Which I wasn't really a listener, aka Shep. No, wait a minute. Which Shep are we talking about? Not the Shep I know. Like Shep? You on the Podbean, brother? What? Call the fuck in then. Are we talking deep noise, Shep? If so, get the fuck out of here. Are you serious? Come on, don't play with me. Don't play games. I'm waiting on the response. Oh, get out of the fuck out of here.
Man.
Who the fuck? Get the okay, it's Deep Noise. We're about to do an episode of fucking Deep Noise. Yo, I had a feeling I should go fucking live. How about
I
that?
love this shit, bro. I love this shit. Seeing you live doing your thing. That's fucking awesome.
Let me ask you this. How did you catch wind? Did you got a notification?
Oh, bro, you know I subscribe to your shit, so as soon as
love it.
As soon as it goes, I'm on it.
Without further ado, I gotta say, so who we got on 100-Yard Alchemist. So if you're just like, what in the fuck is absolutely going on right now? So Shep and I know each other very, very well. Both of us have our own podcasts. I've got mine, obviously, Skip the Noise. Shep co-hosts a show. He's the driving engine behind the show. If I do say so myself, I feel like that's accurate. Shep hosts a show called Deep Noise, Deep MCs, Deep Meaningful Conversations, in which they discuss, mental health. Not even mental health. It expands further than that. I would say, just in general issues that people deal with, and they go very, very in depth. It's a very show. So I would definitely recommend, if you're a fan of podcasts, to check that out. Now, with that being said, the two of us have had a couple run-ins on the mic, and it produced great results. So, what's been going on in your week, man? I haven't talked to you like in person in a minute.
So no, man. Yeah, it's been a minute, man. You know, it's been interesting. You know, just dealing with everything that's been kind of going on. I mean, first and foremost, I've been following up with your show, man. Good fucking shit, dude. Good fucking shit.
Thank you.
Super happy to see you guys back on. Me here, man, just been doing the show, been working, been dealing a lot with this Delta 8 situation here.
Yeah, so tell me about that. What's the current in the great state of Texas? What are the legal
So we have
what are the
temporarily
guidelines at this point?
we are temporarily allowed to be legal again with the Delta 8 until they can get back in the courts and do a proper hearing.
Okay.
So we
So
are fortunate to be able to sell again. So that's huge, right? A lot of it came down though to it was honestly a lot of veterans in Austin that were kind of like, hey, we need this, we use this for treatment, like this is real. And it's kind of bullshit that you didn't give anybody any real warning before you took this away from us. So that
none,
helped, man,
dude, none.
at all.
You know how
Zero.
little warning there was. I heard you know, I may or may not know a few folks around the. I mean, I'll be honest, like in my, and I don't live in a place where I guess. I mean, I don't know. Would say it would be predictable to have this many, but I swear to God, like if you within I could ride my bike to about 6 places. Let me just say that sell Delta 8 products. I know for a fact these places were scrambling. Well, what's it been now? About 3, 4 weeks. Whenever
Yeah. Well, since it went,
the shit rolled
yeah,
out, and it
since
was
yeah, it's
like
about
caught
been
everybody off
4 weeks.
guard.
Yeah, yeah, it's been about 4 weeks. And
But
it's terrible, man, because there's so much money that's just wrapped up into it. And like, even for myself, as you know, dude, the amount of money that was sunk into it, and everybody was just left
oh,
holding this
bro,
product, and not just the fact that you are now not allowed to sell this and there goes your livelihood for these people that have these storefronts, but now the possession of it, right? now
no, for
now
sure,
you
dude. Like you're
possess it.
ground zero of like who got
dude,
fucked in
dude.
this deal. Like you're the
But
guy.
with the amount of shit I had, bro, I'm doing Fed time.
Dude,
Dude,
bro,
fucking,
you went from like, dude, this will be a good idea to a fucking federal fucking criminal, dude.
dude,
In like one, like like here's how it was. It's like the newspaper came out that morning and it's illegal, like 100%.
dude.
Where
I,
it was
I,
something, dude.
it was crazy. It was crazy,
And
man.
I know, like, per our conversations, homie, I know the dollar amount we're talking about. And yeah, that's like, you had to be, you were the first person I thought. Obviously, I texted you and shit. But, like, uh,
Yeah,
like, I was reading shit in my local, like, community where, like, reporters were following up, like, they were going to places and they were like, wait, huh? What are you talking about? Like, they knew the shit before the shop owners. And then they did go in, like, the next place they went to obviously people started texting each other and they're like clearing the shelves, like trying to, like, remember when the Chinese embassy in Houston where they fucking they're like burning shit in trash cans in the courtyard and shit.
yeah, they just rolled it out,
Yo,
man. It's
uh,
it's crazy. I'm not gonna
panic
lie. Like,
mode,
I
panic
I
mode.
shit my pants for a little bit, and then all of a sudden I just started to hear Pusher Man playing in the back of my head, bro. I'm like,
Right. Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm like somewhat of a legit fucking businessman. So like, I'm Nino Brown. In fucking one stroke of the alarm, like fucking your
dude,
alarm clock woke you up one day. The next time it did that, you're a fucking Scarface, dude. You know what I'm saying?
dude, it was great.
That
It was
Pablo
great. I was
Escobar
deep in them
shit.
streets for a
You
solid,
dude, you
a
were, dude.
solid
You
minute.
fucking street cred like a motherfucker for a second. God damn, if you did anything else to your life, well, you motherfucking Scarface for a couple weeks.
Dude, it was great, man. But I'm so happy that it's back though, because it's
For
like
sure, no,
it's
for
such a
dude. Yeah,
it's such a relief that we'll be able to make some people happy.
yeah. Well, and not only that too, bro, but like the place. So a lot of these places. So I don't know how it is in other states. I know Florida is kind of running a similar because it's a state where cannabis is illegal. However, they still there's these gray areas, right? And so I know Delta 8's a big product there too. I know for a fact because as soon as I crossed the border, because I took notoriously, as documented on our Skip the Noise podcast, which you can download on any fucking platform you can find. We did talk about that in depth this summer. I went to Florida in the car, and once I passed those state lines, it was like, it was very clear that they were selling Delta 8 products. And it was a very big deal, much like it is here in the great state of Texas. So I forgot the point I was trying to make with that, but so like legally, yeah, like overnight, all of a sudden the law changed and like nobody knew about it. So yeah, that's why, like Shepard described, it's they're going through more court proceedings, and so at the moment everybody's okay. But so here's something I've noticed too, and I don't know how much you know about this, but like, so I get messages or whatever from I'm trying to, like, different places I know and stuff like that. They'll kind of updates or whatever, and they say they've got Delta 9 shit now. That's Do you know anything about that, or like what's the legal status on that, and how they're able to do that? Or do
Yeah,
you
man.
even so what
Delta 9
transpired
is
there?
crazy. So basically, I mean, really, as Delta 9 was always something that was going to be in the process.
Yeah,
And really it just comes down to the extraction process, right? And how they derive it. It's still going to come, and I think that it still will come, but Delta 9 technically, because it falls under right now, our limit is 0.03, right? That's where they say this is bad. But
yeah,
the way that they're doing Delta 9 in Texas is it's legal because it follows right underneath that. Like it falls within that legal limit. So it's hemp derived, and it also falls under the 0.03. So they say it's fine. It's good.
wow,
It's basically Delta 8. Honestly, it's the same concept, but just a slightly different variant, different extraction process, different everything
yeah,
really. But yeah, similar.
and so that, like, to me, it points out that, like, the speed in which I was getting all these texts and things like that, it just kind of speaks to the adaptability, and I just feel like the lawmakers and the government in Texas, it's an uphill battle. Why waste all the money? Just make the shit legal. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like the it's like you pour a liquid. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, the liquid's going to get whatever crack or hole you got. The liquid's going to get to the bottom and hit the floor, right? Like, no matter what you pour it through, you
Right,
pour it through a
right.
strainer, you pour it through a fucking mouse maze where the shit has to go through. Like, but it's gonna end up on the floor, no matter what route or all these
Exactly.
diversions you take it. The fucking it's shit's gravity's working. The shit that's what this is. The public wants
Yeah.
it. The public, it's gonna happen. So the fuck is all these legal hoops and shit they're doing? They're just trying to stick it home. I mean, Texas is that's what it's like anyway, man. With the not to I don't know. I don't even want to get into all that. Fuck it. But yeah, because
But
I
and
had
that's the
I
thing.
would
I don't.
that was like a whole tree branch that I just saw myself going down, and I'm just gonna stop it right there because I'd rather talk about other stuff.
And that's what I don't get, man, with the whole thing. And the thing about it too, which is crazy, is that the Delta 9 they were going to allow. So the real difference, like, and we said there is no real difference if you think about the chemical properties of the two. But where there is a difference is the Delta 9 is actual cannabis plant, as to where Delta 8 is chemically pulled out of
Right, right, right,
the
right,
hemp
right.
plant. So in theory, like the cannabis is what's quote unquote illegal, but you're allowing Delta 9, which is produced from cannabis, but you won't allow Delta 8, which is produced from hemp, which is legal because we can make it CBD out of it, right? So
Right, right,
it's
right.
just been one of those weird situations that they're doing it for whatever their reason is. We don't know, but it's just to fuck with people.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really just so they can keep criminally prosecuting people and put them in the increased prison populations. That that was kind of the whole route I was going to take, but
No,
there's a lot
I mean,
behind
it
that,
is,
but
man.
either way though, like it's gonna eventually be legal. So it's stupid that they're uh, trying to take it down this route. But I don't know, man. You've been
So
watching the. Oh, go ahead. What
when
were
do
you
you
gonna say?
think we're gonna get it? When do you think
Legal?
we're gonna get
Completely
legal?
legal?
Right? So
Ah,
because
man.
you know we have a douchebag that's running things right now, but
Right.
he has some competition coming up, right? We have
He sure as fuck does. He's definitely had. Well, uh, I was going to talk about that too. He's got. Well, for one, Beto O'Rourke, right? He announced that he's going to run, which like just alone on the fact that he said publicly like, yeah, we are going to take your gun, like all this shit, like you're done, like you're not going to run in Texas, like that's all. But then you got McConaughey.
that was right.
What do you think about
Yes.
this? Do you think this is actual, because he's being real vague, like he's kind of playing, I don't know if he's doing this to, like he's just being cautious till he actually decides, or if he's still in his mind doesn't quite 100, is he not committed to it? What's your take on McConaughey, and what do you think about? I mean, I kind of like the
Well,
fact that he's doing
I
it,
mean,
or if he's talked about it. But
first and foremost, if McConaughey follows through, he's getting my vote. Just
yeah, yeah, dude, I'd be tempted. It'd
hands
be hard
down,
not to. It'd be hard not to.
bro. Because here's the thing, man. I is he the best actor? No,
For
but
sure.
you gotta love his style. You gotta love his
Yeah,
swag, man. And he is a Texas boy for sure. I can
he
tell
is.
you if he goes, we're definitely getting cannabis. If
Yeah,
if he,
no, that's true.
you
Like
know,
that's, and I think he should play that. He should like ride or die for that. Because he's been real quiet, man, with like what he thinks about anything. Like he doesn't really touch on the abortion shit. He hasn't touched. He's been real careful not to say anything. He did do one interview. He did that one interview where he kind of was talking about, you know, uh, kind of shitting on the two party system and what it's done to fucking democracy and how it's fucked up everything. So from an angle of like a philosophical viewpoint, yeah, man, I think it's just I'd like to. I don't know. I guess if he's got to really be smart though about how he does it strategically in running a campaign to actually win. Because I think the potential
for
is
sure,
there.
for sure.
That's the thing. The potential is there. Because somebody like me, dude, like I see it and I'm like, what could that bring? Because Texas is so unique, right? Because you've got these major uh, cities, right, that are very. I mean, that's like. I mean, that's. I'm not saying that that's uncommon, right? Urban areas typically run left. You know what I mean? Have Democratic mayors, things like that. But as in rural, just if you just wanted to cookie cutter the basic description of it. But like
Right.
with Texas, it's very pronounced in that um, the big population centers obviously have different views than widely is held throughout the state. And I mean, obviously, that's it's way more nuanced than that, but just a general swoop, right? Like obviously, Houston's quite a bit different than fucking Amarillo, okay? But I guess my point is, there's a big population that, but because of how they structure like the elections and all this shit, Texas is always like it's very much in the favor of always going to lean right, but
Oh, for sure.
governmentally speaking, and structure of government, they've got a stronghold on it now, like death grips on it, like they're not giving it up, and that's why they keep leaning. But okay, that's neither here nor there. But I honestly think that people would support the idea of a fucking McConaughey, much like, if you want to get real, I guess, philosophical about it, it's kind of like the same reason that Trump was able to develop such a big following, right, amongst, disenfranchised white folks, more or less. It's like McConaughey, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking this through as I'm fucking talking it, but it's like he might kind of appeal to like the
Dude,
the people that are disenfranchised with politics. Does that make sense?
no, and that, but see, that's the thing is that's what we need. We
Right.
need somebody like him, you know, and I feel that the problem, right? We know the government's fucked up. We know that the way that we go about doing things is needs to be redone. We just need to rethink the system
Yeah.
as a whole. And the reasons why we can't get new lifeblood in is because we're always dealing with 80-year-old fucks, right? Like Matthew McConaughey would pull in, like he would make, for lack of a better word, he would make the shit cool, right?
Oh
He
fuck
would
yeah! It'd
make
be
it.
cool, dude. It'd be cool as fuck.
It'd be cool as fuck, man. It would. And that's the thing. But the problem with that and where we fail every time to be able to really secure someone like a McConaughey is at the end of the day, they have too much to lose.
Yeah.
You know, because you think about someone like that, like this is a guy who has a beautiful wife, great fucking kids. He has every fucking endorsement you can imagine in Texas, what every electric company, every fucking
Yeah.
whatever, right? He's got Lincoln in his back pocket. He's got his
He
acting
sure
career
does.
as well if he wants to do something. Like he's not going to have any of that if he crosses over. Like he's giving up
Oh,
all of his money
yeah.
for fucking for fucking what? For headaches?
No, it
You know?
is. Because you know what? Because yeah, once you enter that arena, um, your whole life is exposed. Okay, for one, that's just to get it. That's just to kick it off. Like, so the one thing you've got to be comfortable with if you run for, I mean, it's bro. If you run for, you know, what I'm saying, like the dude who fixed my showers ran for fucking what the fuck? I talked about it on the show. He ran for state representative, like in the district, like where I live.
Right,
You know
right,
what I mean? And
right.
I'm like, bro, like you can't even show up. Uh, like I'm texting you, like, oh, you got to change the days again and again. How the fuck are you gonna like represent me? You know, like at first I was big up in him because I was like, hey, this dude's really cool. Like, you know, we got an estimate. Like he was good to work with. And then it was like he started flaking. I'm like, nah, dude. Like I don't really see it like that. But
No.
anyway, I'm talking about a big publicly with the spotlight's on you, bro. They're gonna go into everything because those other, especially if you have a chance. Like the bigger it gets, the higher the stakes, the more they're gonna tear apart everything. And for just, I mean, just for one to start it, that's a little scary. That's intimidating, right?
Oh no, for
But
sure. For
you know,
sure.
I mean, that's just on the surface level. But like you dig a little further, and it's like you've now entered a space where, like you said, yes, you give up um, all these like nice, comfortable things. Now you're a public because you do at the end of the day you're working for the public, so you do answer to them. You know, you
Yeah,
don't
you're a
you
servant,
know
man. Servant.
and nowadays you don't necessarily answer to them in the way that I think it was designed. You answer to them in the form of like Twitter, which is even scarier because you're not answering to like a board of people that are going to ask you a bunch of questions and do some sort of, you know, interrogation in some public format. This is like more of a fuck. You're getting interrogated in like this could lead into our next topic, but like the meta format where it's like
Oh,
it's not like it's not an entity. It's not like a unified public entity that's scrutinizing your every move. It's like anonymous fucktards that have access to a phone. Like that's anybody. That could be, that's not even people in your community. That could be somebody in Belgium who has no stake in the game other than to fucking, you know what I mean, make up bullshit about how you know, got a hand job from your fucking football coach. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
Like
and then
what?
it's but
Like
the thing is, the funny part
how do you
about
deal with that, dude?
you don't, man, you don't, and it's crazy. Like, hey, look what happened to Arnold, man. Arnold
Oh,
went
for
to
real.
be the governor, and then all of a sudden, all his dirty laundry came out. You
Yeah, it
know,
did,
it's
man.
just it's how it happens. You know,
Yeah.
I would hope that he would take it seriously and that he would come along and he would do this, but it's just I don't see it happening, man. Honestly, I just don't see.
Yeah, I think
I don't
he's
see him giving in.
I don't think he's got like here's the thing, man. It takes some shit, man, to do that. Like so for as much as like I mean, you can shit on Ted Cruz all you want. It's an easy job to do cuz he puts it on a T for you like during COVID flying to fucking flying down to fucking Cozumel or wherever the fuck Cancun.
Yeah, hanging out in Mexico and
Just that's just one example, right? Um part of me was like, yeah, you're a fucking piece of shit. You're an asshole, which, okay. I think that's valid. I don't think that's unfair to say during the energy crisis. The entire state was like 2 minutes away
freezing
from
our
being
fucking
completely
ass
blacked
off.
out. Yeah, the dude's getting out of town. Like you're supposed to represent everybody. So, I mean, I'm not, I'm not getting him out of the fuck you. I'm not wiping him clean. But on a personal level, part of me was like, man, that must suck. Cause like, you make decisions, right? You're like, you might be thinking about, it'd probably be better to get my family out of here. Okay. So like, on one level it's like, okay. But you can't make any wrong decisions, dude, in this day and age.
Oh
They're gonna
no, dude.
they're gonna jump on you and they're gonna jump on you in real time. It's not like it's not like in the 30s where you're like you made some bad fucking policy move and like 2 weeks later the fucking New York Times writes an article about how you're a piece of shit. This is like dude's tweeting, like 2 seconds before the shit happened. you know, like
Yeah,
that shit
bro.
is live as fuck. Like
I
it's
mean, would you even want that? Like, who in their right mind would really want that, man? Like, who is just like, you know what I want? I want to be under the spotlight.
yeah,
No, not just under the spotlight, but fucking critiqued on every fucking thing.
right.
I
Right, and not
do.
only that. So to do that, I think what we're doing is we're kind of peeling back the the skin of this orange here, and it's like you you have to be an absolute almost egomaniacal fuck to even want to do that. You know,
No, for sure, man.
like
You gotta
normal
be. There's
people,
no.
like normal people. That's the problem. Normal people don't want that job. So we don't. That's how you get a runoff, dude. That's how you end up with Biden versus Trump. Like out of 350 million fucking people, those are the two that we're choosing. Those are the two. Those are the two out of 350 million. Okay, obviously subtract
Yeah,
kids or whatever, but like I don't even know whatever the number of eligible motherfuckers to take office. That's two. Those are the last two. That's what you got. And that's
that's
ridiculous.
the
And the
voice.
reason that's ridiculous is because there's probably 100,000 people that are better than Joe Biden to run the country. There's 100,000 people in this country, maybe more, dude. Like, there's 100,000 people, probably more qualified, but
But here's the thing:
he,
is
but
I've
he's
always
doing it.
wondered what is right. What in this day and age today, let's just say today, what does it really take to run the country?
Hmm.
What does it really take? Because people always say, and I think that a lot of times when we think about this, people always just like you have to be this type of person or that type of person or whatever. And I think what has been proven is you look at a Donald Trump, right? Yeah, he was charismatic, if you want to call him that. Was he the best businessman? No. Was he the best anything? No. Does he know how to run an army? No. But somehow he was the leader of this country for
Right.
however long it was. So the real question is, what does it really take somebody? Do you have to come from a Harvard background and have this education and that and have be versed in whatever? Because clearly somebody did it. So at the end of the day, you're just the face, right?
No, for sure.
Like, so why can't you be president, Benji?
No,
Why can't you do
there's
it?
no, because of my own. Yeah, no, it's really is. I could. You know what I mean? You could too. And I think that's what. So I remember before when that election with the Hillary and Trump 2016 election. I remember thinking that I was like, I don't like Trump, but I do like the fact that if he wins, what you just said, Shep, the fact that it's like, okay, well, we prove the same way why it was like, regardless of how you feel politically, when Obama won, um, unless you're an asshole, you had to kind of at least think that, like, okay, this is a good step for the country. The fact that, a person of color was elected as the president is a step, right? Regardless of how you felt about his politics. The same way
Right.
that with Trump, like you just said, and this seems like a weird example to make, but that's what we do. I'm going around, like, you know what I mean, looping around the field here, but like, somebody, like you said, without any kind of political background, was he qualified? No. Uh, but it opens up the door, because just like, who the fuck wants to take that job, right? It's just, and the other reason he was able to win was because he was versus somebody who was the apex of like the other side of that coin. Somebody who's like so deep in the political shit that it's like, what even are you? You're just a fucking like, you, whatever votes need to be cast or whatever fucking like, and just the
Yeah.
pinnacle of a
Yeah.
of a politician, right? So that's what it was, that's what the country was deciding on. Do we want to go in the direction? Do we want to keep going this way, or do we want something new? You can say what you want about the blah blah blah. I think that's what they decided, and I think that's why he won, was because overall, and this cuts across all the different lines, race, uh, uh, economic status, all, like, it was just, they wanted something different, and it wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily in the package that maybe you would have hoped, but it was definitely it definitely changed the game, you know, uh, to a degree.
How do we change that then, man? How do we change?
More fucking people. Running recently, I had a guy, somebody I know. I'm not gonna, until I talk to him, I don't want to like air out his campaign. But all of a sudden, I saw some shit on Instagram. This motherfucker I know for like, and I haven't talked to him. I'm trying to think. It's been a few years, but I knew him as a kid. Dude's running for fucking state representative and shit, like out of the blue. It's like, the fuck. He's a
Hey,
private business owner and all these things. So like, oh shit, that's interesting. But maybe more people should do that shit. But it's tough because you have to have a lot of fucking resources to make that shit happen. But you asked me a question earlier. It was like, why don't you run, Benji? Well, I actually did. I can't remember what episode, but I did make a claim that I would run for Texas governor. I haven't really made good on that yet. I haven't really prepared too much for the gubernatorial proceedings. I can't say that I've put a lot of money aside for that, but a story I told was, I was inspired. So the birth of that concept in my, um, compromised brain came from when I was like, I think I was like maybe 19, or no, maybe I was even younger. I was like 17 or 18. I knew this guy from Galveston who had a friend in which I met, that ran for mayor when he was like 18, because I guess in Galveston, that's the what do you call it? Like, that's the cutoff, whatever. Like, all you have to do is be 18, and so he fucking ran. Didn't win, but like, he got some votes and shit. And I just remember thinking, like, man, fuck, like, I like that. Like like why not? But that's the thing. My whole point is that politics in general needs that like spirit because we put all this stock into the politic, like let them do their, like it's an industry. It wasn't created to be that. It's created to be people that do other shit. Take, you know what I mean? They take like a 4-year hiatus to serve their, you know what I mean? Their region, their municipality, their state, whatever. Like that's how it was designed. That's how democracy is supposed to, or at least our bastardized version of it. That's how it's supposed to work. And that's not what it is. Like it ended up being like a job, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
I
So
don't
maybe
know,
we
man.
should.
I think you should do it. I think you need to be in there, make it happen. And that's the thing. And that's the thing. I think a lot of times we bury it under it takes a lot of resources.
Yeah.
But my question though is resources for what? Resources for what? I mean, in this day and age, everybody has access to the internet. Everybody has access to a
Yeah.
camera. You can make videos. You can edit videos. You can put yourself out there. You have your podcast. You have your voice. You can what? You can drive down to the courthouse and make your appearances. Whatever you have to do. Yeah, you may have to travel here and there, but by that point in time, you're already going to have people behind you. Like I think the days of printing out signs and going door to door are kind of behind us. I think there's a new way that we could do this, or finding what that way is, because it shouldn't have to be that hard, right? We watch debates on TV, people
Yeah.
phone in and debate via Zoom. I mean, that doesn't take too much.
No, dude, not at all. What about this? Think about this idea. Because, dude, I used to go. There was a very brief time period where my sister-in-law and I had season tickets to the Dynamo. So we would go to games, right? And there would always be this guy. He's this, like psychotic, like hardcore Christian nut with like a little mini amp, like a little PA and shit with a mic, just like telling people they're gonna go to hell and all this stuff. And it was, but like I always laugh. Like we'd always go by and he'd get in people's faces, man. Like, uh, like have you read blah, blah, like doing all these Bible verses and like the one thing I respected, like he was obviously a fucking nut job, but I was like, man, this dude like talks his shit. Like he doesn't stop. Like as an orator, I respected it. I was like, dude, that's kind of dope. Like, because he's just spit, like he's just off the top, dude, all the whole time. Like he's seeing people like talking to him. He's got his fucking mic, and like as a fucking performance, I was kind of impressed. Like, oh, I like it. So that being
Right.
said, that's something that I'll be honest. This is Skip the Noise exclusive, and it's coming out here on the live version. I've thought about just because I heard stories that like Dave Chappelle did that shit in DC when he was coming up as a comedian. He would just set up a fucking little PA in a park
Yeah,
and just start doing jokes and shit.
bro, he still does that.
Does he really?
Yeah, he
I
was
mean, I
doing
know
this.
they did the documentary, but that's been a little minute. Does he do it like currently? He does that shit
Yeah, dude,
because
he
that's
still fucking does that shit from time to time. He was doing it when he left the Chappelle show, and he still
uh
does it now. And yeah,
that's
he'll
sick.
just pop up, bro. You need to do that shit. Get yourself
I
a
think I think that's the dude, but maybe that's fuck, dude. That's how we should rock deep noise.
bro.
What? Let's fucking do that
Yeah.
shit, dude. I don't know where. We'll start scouting locations.
Let's just show up.
That would be fucking lava, dude.
Just do. We'll just do right there. Just set
Two
up
mics
podcast.
outside of like we've got to be strategic about like where we set this up. I'm not opposed to that, sir.
Oh no, I'm all in, man.
That'd be like a whole thing, man.
I
I
am
think
I
that
am
would go.
all in.
I think that would go off way harder than I think. Maybe just people don't have the fucking balls to do that. Because I'm thinking in my head, like, why don't you see more of that shit? I mean, obviously,
Yeah, you don't. You really don't.
man, I'm really like the gears are turning right now.
Dude, I'm thinking the
Yeah,
same thing, bro.
yeah, I think that's how. I mean, you know what I mean. You advertise, obviously, like location. You know, you can't get all the fucking California listeners to show up for it, but I mean, you know, maybe you get a
Yeah,
few,
but
you get a few
for
of the
the time, for the
Texas area
city,
in town folks might want
if
to show
you
up.
show up,
Yeah,
man, yeah, if we go out there right now, we go down inner loop, sit there, put a table, you plug in 2 mics, speaker, and you have your
yeah,
show, and just start talking. Maybe have a little flyer there with the
yeah.
information. Dude, I'm telling you,
Ah, that's
someone's
fire.
gonna notice.
That's fire.
If old girl can stand outside of Travis Scott's house and and pick it all by herself,
Yeah, just a solo mission to bring
a
him down.
solo mission
Oh,
made the
we
news,
did,
man.
man. We should probably talk about that a little bit. You know, obviously that was a local ass international story. You know what I mean? Holy fuck, was that thing loaded with content? We did our last was it our last episode or the one before? I think it was the last one. I mean, we
Yeah.
spent like fucking 45 minutes on that shit because there's just so much to talk about. Um, you and I haven't talked much about it at all. So that being said, sir, like, what do you feel on this? Like, how liable is this dude individually
Bro,
for all this?
I'm so fucking pissed, man. And I did kind of talk about this on the episode that I released today on my show just a little bit because the show is
Yeah,
about basically owning your own shit, man. And
right.
at the end of the day, like this guy, me personally, so first and foremost, like I cleared up for everybody, like I am not a Travis Scott fan.
Yeah,
I don't like his music. I did go to one of his concerts one time that he had at NRG, and I swear to God, man, like I didn't know the words,
yeah.
and if you didn't know the words, you had no idea what the fuck he was saying. It was just so ridiculous and just so amped up, but people were just
Uh,
feeling it. And it makes me mad because you have these people, and it's funny because I remember I was listening to your show when you guys talked about it, and you guys had gotten to the conversation about how like back in the day with the mosh pits and like everything else,
yeah.
and that hit me so hard because like like I said, believe it or not, I mean you know me, but most people probably would not imagine that I would have gone to a Metallica concert, right?
For
But
sure. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I did. I went
Stereotypical.
to
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I went to one, and there was a mosh pit there, and there was the level of respect that was fucking there. And when someone was down, they were down, and you get them up, and there was just so much respect and so much love that was there because you guys were there to have fun, but you were there to be safe, right? At the same time,
Yeah.
and fucking jackass just gets this. He's one of those people that just gets to run unchecked, and he's one of those people that
Right.
he's in an echo chamber, and everything that he touches is gold to him. I mean, people fucking close McDonald's down because of that fucking stupid ass McDonald's meal he had that was nothing special. You know,
Right. Yeah.
his fucking shoes sell for ungodly amounts of money. And I don't know if you're familiar with his shoes at all, but like his Jordan ones are like the primo shoe to go for that he makes, right? But
Yeah.
nothing on there is fucking special. The fabric that he uses, the materials he uses have been used in Jordan ones before. B, he's not the first person to turn the swoosh around, which people act like he's the first person that's done that. He's not. And C, it's just a regular ass fucking shoe that everybody fucking
Yeah.
has. But,
Dude,
so
I like that analysis from like a sneakerhead. I like how you're just like, this ain't no fucking the fabric, ain't no shit. Like you broke it down, like that's dope. I like I wouldn't have been able to. I just been like, yeah,
but
whatever. Like
it's the
I wouldn't
truth,
wear them,
man.
but yeah,
It's the fucking hype, and like he's just so hyped up, and the kids have hyped him up, and and then on top of that, which really makes me mad is like obviously right, like he's about to be 2 kids in with the Jenner, and
and that's
so
bad news,
it
homie.
is bad
Like
news,
that's
bro.
it's a
He's on
bad
kid
omen.
number fucking 2 with what's her name? Is it Kaylee? Kaylee?
I think Kylie
Kylie?
is
Yeah,
the one.
and so they're the fucking masters at manipulating media, so you know they're coaching them.
Oh, dude, what are they?
Fucking need to do.
Like, what are they, dude? What
So
the fuck did he get into?
the whole thing just pisses me off, man. Like he is 100% responsible because I don't care. At the end of the day, I don't care how hype you are. I don't care whatever. Like when you're on that stage, whether someone's in your ear, someone's not in your ear, someone is informed you beforehand or not, you can visibly see. You're up high enough. You can see out there and see where there's trouble. You can hear the chants, and you have every right to fucking stop that show.
Yeah.
Every single one. And the fact that he did not do that, he didn't own up and just be like, "Hey, it's fucking bullshit." But you know what he did do after the fact? He went and got himself a fucking brand deal and made
Yeah.
sure that he partnered with these motherfuckers. Like fuck you, dude. Like
Yeah.
fuck you. And you're gonna
Yeah.
pay for some funerals? Like that's nothing to you. You have watches that cost more than these fucking funerals. Like fuck you. You
No, no
can't bring these
shit.
people back. You can't pay for that. He's just, oh dude, I can't stand that fucking guy. I hope that he gets every fucking lawsuit known to man thrown at him, and he deserves it because this isn't his first time that he's been in this situation where
Yeah.
he's
That's
caused hysteria.
And I think that was like on episode 74, that was Mexican Nostradamus' main point was like this motherfucker, like this isn't incident one. You know what I mean?
Bro,
Like
it's
it'd be
not.
one thing if this was a one off, but like, yeah, he's
Did you see
uh
the news story about the paralyzed kid? So there was a kid that was paralyzed from from a previous show of his, from where he was telling people to rush the stage,
oh fuck.
and he found out about this and was like just devastated. Right now obviously it's media, so they're going to amp it up, but
Oh
the
right.
fact that you can go and find a fucking person that got paralyzed at a previous fucking show because you encourage people to rush the stage, you encourage people to blow past, like you literally are creating a situation of chaos, and you
Yeah.
think that shit's fucking funny because you're the fucking god of the drama and the chaos that's ensuing.
Dude, check this out. So I had a conversation. Actually, let me pull this shit up because I want to quote this. Uh Episode 37, I had a guest on, a really close friend of mine, uh, from the music scene, Jeremy Masters, who you can hear his music on many of the interludes of my show. So him and I obviously are in communication. I'm pulling it up right now. So sorry for the kind of delay in my
Oh no,
talk.
you're good.
So he made a perfect analogy, and I want to fucking highlight it on this. He's like, so we got into a little conversation about that shit. He was kind of like responding to what we talked about on the show, or he knew that. That's right. It was before he listened, but like we were talking about the topic, and he's like, he's like, it's a he equates it to like gangsters in high school, right? Like they're all talking that shit, like they got all this like, you know what I mean? Oh, some people wouldn't be able to tell them apart, right? Because they wear all the same shit. You know, they look like a gangster, they smell like a gangster, that whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
all of a sudden, somebody pop, 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 a couple shots go down on the block. Not
So
anymore, right?
they they turn bitch real
They
quick.
they turn bitch, yeah, they turn bitch real quick. And it's like the same shit, right? Like he's talking all this, like, come to the other side, motherfuckers, come to the portal to hell, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, like people actually died now.
Right? Like, oh,
You know,
I
and
didn't
it's,
realize.
yeah, like, oh shit, I'm throwing all this dark imagery on plant because there's people like that I talk to on a regular basis that are really on the other end where they're like, no, this motherfucker is trying to conjure up some shit, like, you know, like people that really subscribe. You know, obviously there was a lot of conspiracy theories on social media that, you know, were like this was a legit ass satanic ritual, you know, come to life. I don't know if I go that far, but I will say this, and this is what I told Jeremy. I said, hey, it's like you fuck with that energy, don't come crying when it you know what I mean, when that boomerang
Yeah,
comes right back in your hand.
hits you in the ass, man.
You throw that shit out there, don't get all fucked up when you know what I mean, when it goes awry. So I'm not saying like, I'm not I'm not God. I don't know how the energies of the universe all connect and, you know, all that fabric plays out and causes things to happen. But I am saying that generally speaking, if you start projecting that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
bad things tend to come, bad things tend to come out of it. So,
it's
bit off a little
upsetting,
more.
man.
Yeah, dude. And he's partying with
Fucking
Drake. That's the thing, dude. I kind of talked about this on the previous show, but I was driving like that morning, on that Monday morning. I was taking one of my daughters to a doctor's appointment, and I drove right by Energy Park. Whilst normally I wouldn't be listening to 104 KRBE, but I caved into my daughter's request for the musical selections, as opposed to what I was going to play. So where I was listening to the talk, it was the morning show, and they were talking about how somebody just had called in like right then and was like, yeah, I saw these motherfuckers. Like, I know, like, whatever. My daughter works at some bar or some shit, and these motherfuckers were like popping Cristal and fucking hanging with strippers like after the show, like a little after party. And yeah, I was like, oh shit. And they're like, yo, for real? Like, do you have photos or whatever? But anyway, so I mean, I don't know if that, fleshed out or whatever, but that's fucked up too,
well,
man.
I'm
Like,
pretty
if that
sure
was,
that
I'm
they're gonna
sure that, I
go.
mean, it's very easy to believe, like him and Drake or whatever, fucking party. Drake, it's another thing, dude. Drake, fucking,
Dude, but that's the thing, and that's what makes me mad about some of these situations is that at the end of the day, like some of these people we allow because of the income that they generate, we allow them to run unchecked, but then nobody wants to pay the bill, right? When all the shit comes
yeah.
due, another fucking person the same they're not the severity of this situation, but you look at a person like Kanye West, or sorry, he's Ye now, right? He changed his fucking name.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you had that
Jesus.
issue with this fucking guy, like the issue with him wearing the Nike shoes recently, right? Like this is this person that has signed a deal with Adidas to be exclusive with Adidas, but he gets to run around and break these contracts. And he's unchecked because they say, oh, he's the greatest mind, he's this, he's that.
Right,
But you have
right,
someone that busts their ass as an athlete to earn the right to be able to be signed to one of these companies, and God forbid they're seen out with a different brand on, they get dropped, they lose their sponsorship, right? Like it's just some of these people we allow them to be untouched for whatever reason, and it's fucking irritating that there's no rules, it seems like, when it comes to some of these people, and we need to correct that. But who's going to do it, right? And this is a good opportunity to hopefully set that example and say like, hey, we're not going to tolerate this, we're going to crack down, and we're going to make it right.
yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, he definitely. Man, he fucking. I was gonna say Kanye. Yay, I can't do it. I can't, dude. When people change their names like mid life or like mid career, I don't think it works like that, dude. I don't. I think like,
Come on now. Puff Daddy did it about 20 times.
oh, he 20
Right.
times, 20 times. He did it 20 times. I think. Well, here's the thing. I don't think you get to give yourself your own name, right? Like either way. Now that we're man, that's pretty deep. That's deeper than I intended. Like when that started out of my mouth. Like, you know what I mean? Your parents name you, right? Like your actual government name. You don't have any say in that, right? You might develop a nickname, uh, and that might change over the course of your life, right?
Right.
Um, but like, like announcing your own name is maybe the douchiest thing you can do,
Dude,
right?
it is.
Like if it doesn't come across naturally, like nobody's like, oh, I don't know, dude. Like it wasn't. Do you get the angle I'm coming from? Like
Yeah.
that you can't really pick your own name because that's fucking douchey. Like the more I'm thinking about it, the more that makes sense. Because you really
Yeah,
don't.
no,
Like your actual name, like what's ever on your birth certificate, obviously you weren't in a capacity to name yourself. So that's your name, right? You might end up going, but like no self-respecting person like comes up with their own like a nickname, like who that never works. It never sticks. Like if you're just like,
right.
yeah, man,
Start
I
calling
want to
you
be
just
called, dude. Yo, Benji wants to be called the Flash because I think of myself, I'm fast as fuck, man. I get from point A to point B twice as fast as you. I'm the Flash. It's not gonna, dude. You're not gonna call me that. Nobody's gonna fucking call me that because they're just like, fuck you. You're not the Flash. You're not that fast, dude. They
yeah,
have to
man.
be like, you know what I mean? Like Bo Jackson wrestling fucking wild boars in Alabama when he was like 12. You know what I mean? And like cutting their heads off with his fingernails. Like you get a nickname, right? Like that'll earn you a fucking this or whatever. Like throwing
Yeah.
fucking stones through. Dude, I used to pit. This is a crazy story. I used to. There's this shitty. So there was a pitcher for the Astros, J.R. Richard, back in the '70s and shit. Black dude from Louisiana threw fucking heat. I think to this day still has the record for like the fastest pitch in Major League Baseball. But he ended up with some drug problems, whatever. But anyway, back when I was like I think I was like in 8th grade playing baseball and shit. There was in Southwest Houston, there was this real shitty like little batting cage. But like as he was picking himself back up, because he was like homeless for a while. He's like drug addicted, all this shit. Lost all his money to different bullshit. And then he ended up like we found out he was like coaching or he was doing like little lessons and shit at this little batting cage. So I would go, and like I worked with him for like a couple months and shit on like pitching and all this stuff. And he would tell me these fucking dude, this guy was a character. Like he would tell me these fucking stories, super candid. Like he cussed around me. I was like 12 or 13, just cussed freely, like didn't give a shit. It was awesome. And like my dad's the type of dude, he didn't give a fuck. Like he was like, oh, that's great. This is fucking. And so, but he would tell me these stories, and he's like, yeah, he's one of those dudes like these fucking Louisiana stories and shit you hear like, yeah, my brother got killed by a fucking alligator or he drowned swimming or something like these fucking just horrible shit. And then he's like, yeah, we used to kill like the reason I was so good at pitching is because we used to kill alligators with rocks. It's like, dude, it's probably bullshit, but like,
What?
dude, but like, I loved that. Like, because I was like, God damn it. Because he said it like the same way he was telling you, like, oh yeah, it's sunny outside right now. Like, like I don't think you can just kill an alligator with a rock. But he's like, he told it to me, like, and it was just as believable as somebody telling you, like, yeah, it's 3:27 in the afternoon, and it's like, oh, that's what it is.
You're like, all right, I
Like,
guess it is. Well, it
but
just
but
is what it is.
I get, yeah, that's what it is. So like, you get a nickname. It's shit like that, right? Like killing. I don't know. I kind of went all over the place with that one, but yeah, you don't get to call yourself Yay. Fuck him, dude. I don't like this dude's vibe. Like I saw an interview recently where he's like, like he's in the room with all these. I forgot who was even interviewing, but he's such a weird dude. And he goes, yeah, haha, like I was listening to Cash Money and shit back then. I just posed as a backpacker because all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know why I had such a problem with that statement. I don't know. How do you feel about shit like that? Because I know you know what I mean. You've got
Yeah.
a
Been through some
stake
shit.
in the hip hop. Yeah. But like, just so flippantly saying that with such gusto and being so proud of it. Because I'm not
Man,
saying like I'm not saying I was in that exact sort of whatever like movement or whatever, but it like peripherally maybe in like so in other words like I got what that sort of scene was all about, and for somebody to be like maybe I'm getting too into it, but like for somebody to just be that dismissive of it when it's like bro like you're I don't know I just had a problem with the integrity or the lack of integrity that whole bravado in which he like so proudly sort of like, yeah, I was just fucking faking that bullshit just to get attention, or I don't know, that's just weird, man. And then everybody was just like so cool with it, like, oh, that's fucking, I don't know. The guy just rubs me the wrong way, man. I mean, some shit he says, I like that he is a little weird and a little different. Like I can respect that, and I respect his talent on some level. I'm not necessarily a fan, but I don't know, man. Just something about his personality. I can never get behind him.
I think that's a lot of people, though. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it goes. And the thing about, especially when it comes to like hip hop music, is it's very fickle because you have people that are going to be super diehard hip hop, like the Roots, and like not the Roots of the
Yeah,
band, but the roots of it. And then you're going to
yeah,
have people that are into that more bubblegum pop version that it is now, and it has changed, but it's also become more of an entertainment than what it used to be. And so it is hard because you're on that threshold of where if you want to make money in this thing, you have to be an entertainer. If you want to
right,
be hard, you stick to your roots, but you're not gonna make the money, but you'll be real. You'll be real in the streets, right?
right,
And it's hard to say. But then on the backside of that, the other side of the coin is a lot of the people that we recognize, they don't stay true. They don't stay true to the game fucking anyway, because you have like take someone like a Jay-Z, right? Like Jay-Z came up as the real dope dealer, as the real person, as real man. How quick did he change as soon as he got money? Like that
right.
motherfucker ain't nowhere near Marcy Projects anymore, right? Like
Yeah,
so
no,
so is
yeah,
he still real? Is he still real? Is he still, that dude? It goes both ways, but at the same time now too, some of the greatest people are, if you think about some people that really succeed currently or within the last say 15 years, 20 years, they've been people that have not been what they are, right? Like you have that whole the Rick Ross fallout, right? Where, oh, he was a drug dealer, but he was also a corrections officer. He was
right,
this, he was that, right? You have 50 Cent, right? He started out as the real gangster, but and think about that, like 50 Cent, right? If you think about what he came out making the quote unquote gangster music, but it was more poppy. It wasn't straight like thug shit.
right,
And then he was bagging on Ja Rule, right? Which
right,
promoted him because Ja Rule was making songs for ladies, this, that, and the other. And then next thing you know, 50 Cent's telling people he loves them like a fat kid loves cake. Like, come on, bro. Like,
right.
like,
Yeah,
and you're making movies and you're doing this, that, and the other. Like, I think at some point they realize that it's a game, bro. Like it's a fucking game, that you just kind of play. I mean, look at fucking Drake. Drake's one of the biggest names in the world. He's a fucking entertainer. He should be
right.
a good fucking rapper because he fucking acts all the goddamn time,
Yeah, no, really.
you know.
Yeah,
So it
it is weird how like, yeah, Drake's like the perfect example because yeah, he was like a child actor. Like that's not um so like the artists that were breaking ground when I was coming up, and we're similar ages, so you too, like nobody's backstory was like that they were a child actor, and there's nothing
let's
wrong, like on an entertainment level, like or artistry, there's nothing wrong with that. Like make music, but I mean Drake clearly though um, uses I'm trying to think. There's a line. Well, there's a song. Like he says, like overtly, like gangster shit in his songs. Like Drake, you're not gonna shoot anybody, right? Like
not at all, not at
no,
all,
like
man.
you're not at all. But like, what's weird is like that. Just everybody agrees to be okay with it. And I'm not saying like on an entertainment level that's not okay. Do you get what I'm saying? Like same way like you write a script for a movie. Like I don't have to personally embody every single character. But like when the presentation of what you're delivering is tied into your own personal identity, and that's what always makes hip hop different, is because your identity, your personal identity, is very attached to what you present as your art, right? Whereas it's different, like just Nirvana, right? Like Kurt Cobain, he's writing a song from a different standpoint. Whereas like how hip hop evolved as an art form was somebody with a microphone at a party. There's a DJ using pre-record, like turntables that have, uh, using break beats from songs that actually exist.
Right.
Right, it's a whole different thing, and you're basically the role of the MC evolved from somebody more in one way or the other, sort of hosting a party, getting the people to keep dancing, blah blah blah. So you're talking, you're blah blah blah. That evolved into like, oh, it's like an actual verse of a song, and then you build choruses around it. So, but it didn't start like as it has different origins. Um, so that being said, the person behind the mic, whatever they're saying, is very attached to who they are as a person, more so than other genres of music where, um, I could say, or it's like I'm Johnny Cash and I can sing about somebody who's doing time in prison. I'm not actually that person myself. It's almost like I'm quote like somebody wrote a poem from that perspective, and I'm performing it. But like since its inception, hip hop is different because that's why there's like referring to yourself in the third person is a hip hop like invention.
Right.
No,
Right.
nobody's like Johnny Cash isn't like Johnny Cash is sitting on, you know what I mean? That doesn't happen. But it's like, my Snoop D-O double G or like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a totally different thing. So in other words, that's why it's a different criticism when it's like, oh, like there is no really rules anymore. You can just kind of be whatever and
And
talk
but
about and
I
talk
think
about
we look at it
whatever,
that way
and
though.
it's all
I
good.
think that's where it got confuses. And I agree with you, man. I think that it's because we come from an older mindset and we come from a place where like what you said on that record better have been real, right? Like you weren't
Yeah,
allowed to have people write for you and you weren't allowed to have this, that, and the other and stealing beats and lines. Like that was serious offense. And I think that the hip hop industry as a whole, I mean, once real money came involved, that's always gonna fuck shit up. But on the backside of it though, we kind of did it to ourselves because you have some of these people that were some of the biggest names and the most serious people that were out there. I mean, hell, like look at someone like Snoop Dogg. You talk about him, like you mentioned him, but that was a person that, yeah, like they came from that life, but then as soon as like the money comes in and this and that, then you're not that person anymore.
right.
Like you can't relate, and then you see that the people that are coming up see that and they emulate that. You have these people that were, they used to be guns and this and that and drugs, and now they're rapping about Picasso's and the Gucci's and like
Yeah,
they're
dude.
not doing that. So now I'm gonna start doing that. Now I'm rapping about this, that, and the other, and then now hell, Snoop Dogg sells fucking Soda Streams now, and he's with Martha Stewart.
Bro. Yeah.
But people still buy his music, but on his music he still talks about this, that, or the other. But
Right.
that's not you anymore, right? So if the people that helped spawn this thing aren't even being 100% authentic anymore, like how can we expect some of these kids to be?
No, it's true. It is true. And like I'm trying to think of where that disconnect sort of happened. Well, okay, I know. I just answered my own question in my head. You know what the difference is? So, like, when I was a performer, right? Occasionally, I would run into somebody who would they check you for certain things. Okay, like, hey, you said this. Like, yo, that's my tag and shit. Like, I'm a graph writer. Like, that's what do you mean by that? What do you say? Like, that's I remember I had to get like some guy kind of approached me and shit, and we had to like discuss it and talk it out. And he had to see, like he probably would have wanted to fight me, but I had to describe like, oh, this is why. Like, all right, whatever you want to ask about that, but this is what it is.
Right.
Nobody, and for these guys, nobody comes at them like that. And this is, dude, I wasn't nobody. This is like in like the local scene here in fucking, in Houston, of a, kind of a very, uh, it's like a certain scene, right? So we're not talking about fucking nationwide or worldwide. But you had to like occasionally like people, they just came up different, man. Like they record all this shit and they put it on SoundCloud and then blah blah blah. Like there's no like conflict or these like or like beefs with like other fucking bands and shit. Like, oh, y'all taking too long to like load, like all these little things that you have to deal with coming up in music that kind of you cut your teeth. Like these, like they none of like some of these people, their first fucking performance is like the audience is already built in, right? Like they already
Right.
have like networking and they have like they never fucking printed no fucking flyers. They never
No, not at
they
all.
hit send. They post the shit. Like, yeah, they never hit people up. They never talk to like, hey, is it cool if I put flyers? Like meet the owner of a fucking head shop, and like, hey, can we put flyers over here? Can we set up like a little thing? Can we blah blah blah? Like hours and hours of like going out there and that some people like fuck you, like getting into arguments and shit and all this bullshit, like conflict resolution. What it does is it makes you like, no, like I'm doing something I believe in, so fuck you. They don't have to do any of that. They only do that when it's like, oh, somebody starts some fucking Twitter beef and then it's whatever. Like there isn't like an actual dude who might want
Beat your
to want to swing. Yeah, like they never encounter that shit. I mean, they do
No, no.
sometimes. Like they do sometimes, but it's always way after the fact. Like these rappers are getting these little shit with each. I don't know. Maybe that didn't even. I'm trying to think of the last time. I feel like there is like what's his like with Takashi 6ix9ine and shit. Like that was kind of the last big newsworthy of people
Yeah,
actually like getting shot and like in
that's
dangers
fucking
and shit.
wild.
That was
Yeah,
funny. That whole thing
but
was
that's the
weird,
thing,
but
right? But the whole situation, even with that, or not even like if you take him or you take like a Pop Smoke or whatever. So Takashi don't count because that guy's just a fucking bitch, and he just happens like he got in with people that were the real deal, and he just wasn't. Like he was an
right,
entertainer, he was a show, and now he's paying for it, right? He can't be as
right,
out as he would like to be right now because somebody's gonna bust his ass if he is, right?
right.
But
He went to yeah he because he took it too far.
he took it too far because he wasn't really about that life. But it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, like, yeah, you had to do all those things. I mean, fuck, dude, I've dabbled in music myself, and I've been there, and like just the music as a whole, there was so much more behind it. But those days are so far gone.
Oh, I know.
Oh, that these kids, like the ones that unfortunately end up losing their lives, are the guys that are the ones that try to remain in the streets, and that's not where the music is anymore, man. I mean, at the end of the day, the majority of these fucking songs are for fucking 16-year-old white girls in fucking
Yeah,
Wyoming. They're the ones that are paying $500 for your fucking tickets, and everything else that's out there. And it's sad, bro. It's sad how far it's fallen. You know.
damn man. Let's think of something to cheer me up. That fucking bummed me out, man.
No,
The
for
only, the
sure.
only thing I'm excited about though is that so what's kind of cool is that um like musicians that like I grew up on are still like I'm not going to get into here and name a bunch of people, but like what is kind of cool is that like people from my era like are still doing it, like people notable artists or whatever, because there's no reason not to, right? But that's something you didn't anticipate because the art form itself was young, so there wasn't like 50-year-old fucking rappers, but like now there is.
Yeah, no, for
It,
sure.
and there's no reason there shouldn't be. And it's kind of dope. Like it's a whole nother genre. Like for a perfect example, Run the Jewels, right? Or
Right.
Czarface, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
dude, I jam the fuck out of some Czarface, and it's like it's perfect for. Or even I'll even go on the the white side of the Aesop Rock. He's still doing shit. But yeah, like, but that's the thing. Like I've heard, it's funny because I've heard comments for like run the jewel shit, and it's like, yeah, that's like rap my dad listens to, and I'm like, fuck, that's what it is. Like that is what it is. But
That's
you
fucking
never
awesome.
back then you never anticipated that, but that's what the fuck that is. But
No, for sure, man. It's
like
beautiful.
to our ears, it's like it's still evolving, right? Because there's better technology behind it, and there's like all these ideas that they're taking from. So it's like still progressing, but like some 20-year-olds like, oh yeah, that's fucking old people rap and
That's
shit. Yeah,
old
it's such a
shit,
weird
man.
perspective, man.
Dude, it's crazy to think about, and you're right, man. I mean, you think about hip hop as a whole, like really, it's probably only what it may only be 50 years
Yeah,
since it's been really around, and it's going to be so cool to see, like, where it goes, and I hope that people who were in there from the beginning continue to put stuff out and continue to go on, because why can't we have a long running legacy like some of these rock bands and
yeah.
everything else? Like, we totally should. I'll be all
No, and
about that.
there's
I want.
yeah, that's the thing. There's absolutely no reason not to. That you can't be 60 and still rap. I mean, you look at like because in other genres it still makes sense, right? Like uh, fucking David Bowie was recording shit until he passed. Uh, you know what I mean? Like doing new shit. Like all fucking if you've got that in your blood, man, they're gonna keep doing it. I mean, I don't want to sit here and babble and try to think of a bunch of examples, but yeah, in other genres, whether it be fucking rock, R&B, whatever, fuck gospel shit, dude. There's people, yeah, they keep recording it, or country, fuck, they keep recording into their goddamn 70s and 80s, So um, just because it's historically a young man's genre, it's a different thing. Like it's kind of interesting to see it, and it's like it's funny how it kind of hits the right frequency. Um, you know what I mean? Shit like Czarface, right? Where I'm just like, oh fuck, dude, that's so dope. Like it gives me the same feeling as like when I was 18 or some shit, and with like some Most
Yeah,
Def shit
yeah.
came out, right? And it was like the new shit, and you're like, god damn, that shit's dope. Like every time like some new shit came out, it was like evolving, you know.
Dude, it's
It,
crazy, man.
and you couldn't go back. Like if you were going back, you're like, yeah, I can appreciate that, but it sounds so dated. It sounds so fucked up. Um, it sounds so basic. Like I remember, like in the late '90s, when like all the kind of underground, like East Coast shit was coming back, like with like Raucous and all these independent, uh, like hip hop labels, and there was this whole fucking movement and like real sort of skill based and style based emceeing and shit. It's kind of like what Eminem kind of came out of, honestly.
Yeah.
Obviously, he just blew up because he associated with Dre, and then it went. It was all that was the next. What the fuck's what's the expression? Uh, what this expression I'm looking for? Where it's like, and there's the rest of the story. I don't know. Jesus Christ, I'm having a brain
Yeah.
fart, but
And the rest is
you know what I'm.
history.
The rest is history. God
The
damn,
rest
why was
is
that
history.
so hard for me to come up with? Wow. Age is a beautiful thing, kids. So anyway, but yeah, man, it's fuck it, whatever.
Now,
Yeah.
where do you stand with Eminem? Where do you stand with him?
So I'm a little biased because let me go back and here's some perspective on Eminem. So I was a white rapper when he blew up. So I did other like my musicality or my vocalism expanded, but it started out with me and my friend. I mentioned on a podcast, or I think episode 23, where we got in the Get Out the Road Hose or something, 22 or 23. Jay Wiggs, we used to make little tapes on a fucking karaoke machine with a cassette. Like we would just like loop fucking beats or whatever. We just loop beats and we'd make these tapes for like our fucking basketball team and shit. And like, and it was just like fucking wild. Like we'd find the craziest fucking samples of like weird shit you would never think of. And, it'd like rhyme over them and shit. And we met up with I met up with these dudes who were like had a band, and then so that's how the both of the worlds sort of combined. But anyway, so that's a whole nother fucking podcast. But the point was, at that time, I was in like balls deep in that shit, and all of a sudden, "Hi, my name is" dropped, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." Like he's not pretending to be something. Like he's white. And then when the album came out and I listened to it, I was like, oh shit, like he's like, yeah, I don't know, like it wasn't phony. So it was a whole different, it was a whole different thing. Like, yes, he was obviously heavily influenced and he grew up in, black culture and black neighborhood and thing like that. But he had like a white perspective on it, which was unique because most of the time before that, any white rapper that came out, it was more like imitate. I mean, there was a couple that you could say like Third Base, kind of were respected. Like they weren't shit on like that. Obviously, Vanilla Ice set the whole fucking like he set white rappers back a decade. You know what I mean? Like he ruined the whole shit. Like Everlast too. Like people forget. Like everybody associates him with the guitar shit and like whatever. But like before House of Pain, he had a couple singles because like I remember him like, oh, it's a white guy, and like everybody, it was like all good, like nobody fucked with him or whatever. But aside from like the couple, and then the Beastie Boys was kind of a whole different thing too. But like aside from all that, like no, it was like nah, like it just can't happen. Just like the president of the United States, like there's no rules that say that you can't be something other than a 65-year-old white guy who's married, who's Christian or Protestant. Like there's nothing that says that that's the rule, but that's the rule, right? So when he came, and not only that, but how talented he was like, oh fuck, like you can't really fuck with this now. Like you can't say that he can't rhyme because he's fucking out rhyming everybody. You can't say that he's full of shit. You can't, like there's all these things like oh fuck, and then it like blew up. So I was very excited about it initially, right? And then the first, and I'm not like shitting on him now, but like it definitely like I lost interest after like a couple albums.
Really?
I'm not saying like not respect. Like yeah, I still respect. Like his talent is fucking crazy. Like and him as a person too. Like I got absolutely no. I'm not criticizing at all. I just didn't like musically. It just didn't do the same thing. I think like at the time where he blew up, everything I listened to, I was like like if they didn't impress me with like the first few lines, like I wasn't interested. Like it wasn't even about like the music. I was just like so concerned with like how fucking creative are you rhythmically saying words to the beat that, you know what I mean? Like it's like graffiti, audible graffiti, right?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
do you look at a painting and you're like, oh, is that impressive? Like is the use of colors intriguing to my eyeballs? Like how does this, same thing like with the words and like how they fucking enunciate them, like what rhymes with what, like how many syllables rhyme per thing, or like are you mixing it up, or is every line just like blah blah blah, like the same pattern, are you changing the pattern, are you doing it different, like every little thing I was like taking account. And like if the first 2-3 lines like didn't impress me, skip.
Damn, bro, you're on them.
That's how deep. Yeah, like
yeah. No, I don't know, man. Like I personally, like I am a huge huge Marshall fan, man. Like I went in deep when he came out, you know, and I stuck with him when a lot of people kind of jumped off. And
Yeah.
I guess for me, like whenever I would do it, I'm an overall, like I'm more of a audio person, I guess, if you would say. And what I mean by that is like, yeah, like I like the cadence. I like your lyrical cadence. I like if you can switch it up. You know, I like the rhyme parts too, but for me, it's the audio, like how well do you sink into the beat, like how
Yeah.
well and the things that he does, and even as he progressed throughout his career, he got so sophisticated to where like if you weren't really listening, like you didn't catch that like the end of each bar, you know, hit on this specific snare or
Right. 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 No.
and like I would always listen for that. Like that impressed me more. Like and I still to this day, like hands down, he has the best breath control out of fucking anybody, bro. Like you're not hearing him on the mic, even in live performances, you know, like
That dude. That's the big difference.
crazy.
Rappers don't know how to perform, dude.
They do not know how to perform. He could perform his ass off, bro, and
Yeah,
it was
because
just
he's a real rapper.
it was
Yeah,
incredible.
no, like that's like what I said earlier as far as losing interest. I didn't necessarily mean that like I lost. I did like maybe it was just I kind of moved on to other shit. Plus, I was genre wise, I was expanding out a little bit, and hip hop wasn't quite
Yeah,
as big a percentage of the shit I was listening to.
for sure.
So I'm not as familiar, honestly, with like anything past. So obviously Slim Shady, like I played fucking a million times probably. Marshall Mathers, I played that fucking probably a million times. Uh, I could, that's what past those two, like I can't even remember what the third one was called. And it's not
Yeah,
because I didn't like it, because I'm sure at the time I bought it, but like it didn't like stay with me. But to your point, yeah. Oh no, like there's not a better rapper as like because when that's the thing, man. Like people a lot of times disassociate it with like the musicality, whereas like I was always very keen on the fact that you're using your when you perform what regardless of what genre of vocals you do, you're using your torso, your head, your mouth, your all those things to create those sounds. The same way like the mechanics of your fucking trombone does. You know what I mean? You move the arm here, here. The
yeah,
same
yeah,
thing with like the way you shift your belly. Like if you've performed anything, dude, you know that. Like the way you hold your mouth, like the intensity that you squeeze the muscle on this part of your mouth, like all that shit is if you wouldn't know like if you haven't performed like so when you hear somebody who, like you said, audibly, it's just fucking a goddamn like a French chef created this fucking souffle that's like every single molecule in there was baked to the exact perfect temperature, and all the ingredients were added in the like the best ingredients were added in the perfect proportions and at the perfect time for the perfect temperature to where they combine with the other ones. That's what you're doing as a musician. You're only doing it with your body parts. Maybe you're hitting a drum, but your arms are doing that. Your brain is thinking it first, and your brain has to know those patterns, and it's muscle memory. The same way, like when you're on a mic, it's muscle memory. Uh, you know what I mean? So that I think, dude, I think there's people that have a career that don't like see it that way. You know, like um, the people that get it right. Like I saw an interview. There was like a Tupac documentary, and Shock G rest in peace. By the way, I think he just passed away like maybe a year ago or a couple years. I don't
yeah. I think so.
know.
Yeah,
He was talking about Tupac because obviously being from Oakland, they came up in the same. He was part of actually he was in Digital Underground like as a dancer and shit. And so he was talking about Tupac, and he was like, yeah. forgot. He described a couple people's like delivery, and he was like, yeah, Nas is like it's like a nasal palate. Uh, Somebody else, whatever, and then he's like, but Tupac was like from the fucking, you know what I mean, like your bowels. Like this dude is delivering like from way down, you know what I mean, like way down in the bottom of the gut.
Yeah.
And but anyway, but yeah, to your point, man, like yeah, that's the difference. Like yeah, Eminem he's all of that. Like he's a writer. You know what I mean? I mean, you could argue like personal preference, but like you can't say that he's not one of the best writers of all time. You know, he
Oh
has to
no,
be in that
crazy.
conversation. You know, for every angle, whether it's just pure fucking syllable fuckery to like stories to like conveying an actual point to like creative shit or whatever, or like message driven stuff, like everything. Like there's no category where he's not right up there. And then you top of the fact that like as a musician, he's badass too. Um, and gets it obviously because he's like you said, the breath control. That's the whole shit. Because yeah, you're controlling it by the pace, like how much air you let out per each thing, how you know when the next line's coming. Do you save like a little micro breath here so you've got enough wind to push out when the beat hits because you don't want to, like, all that shit is all factored in. And the dude's a fucking marvel, you know?
Dude, he was the man. I know people are probably listening and they're probably like, "What the fuck are they going on about?" But
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can't,
fuck it.
you can't, you get so. We need to keep it moving. But let me ask you this, right? So from one
Yeah.
one one hip hop artist to the next, or retired artist, whatever you want
Yeah.
to say.
Big
So
time retired. But yeah, go.
obviously, obviously, man, like when you write, like there was always something that was fun about the writing.
It's the whole thing.
Now let me ask you, right? So we all know that a verse is 16 bars, right? Well, not every, I
Right.
don't know if everybody knows that, but for people that don't know, right, a hip hop verse usually is a 16 bars, man. What would you say was your most memorable bar that you ever wrote?
Oh, like personally?
Yeah, personally.
Oh, fuck.
Like the one where you hit it and you're just like, oh shit, this is the one.
Oh, God. I would have to dig. Man, I won't be able to come up with it on the spot like my absolute favorite, but like, damn, you really put me on the spot.
I did, man. So like for me, like I knew, like I always liked when I would do my songs, I always told stories. Like I
Okay.
was I was a storyteller, right? Um and it wasn't necessarily like the best line ever because if people don't understand what I'm saying, they wouldn't get it. But for me, like I just thought it was so funny in my head when I would say it. But obviously, I came from a little more of the street life, and the bar that I had put was like, um, I was basically like saying like talking about selling, just selling. And if you need to find me, I was like, if you need to find me, I said, you can catch me in my whip sipping on a fifth. In the back, got more keys than a locksmith. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
but
Yes, sir.
but, but I don't know that for whatever reason that one always just kind of fucking stuck with me, man.
That's dope. That's dope. God damn. I hate to. I'm gonna keep thinking because like the dopest. Because it's been like you gotta understand. It's been fucking
Oh, fuck, it's been forever.
like I haven't
It's been
thought about that shit in like forever. But dude, I actually have. So I thought about putting it. So I've got it. Here's the problem too with all my shit. It was before, um, like the shit didn't get transferred to like new media. Like everything's on a fucking actual disc, dude. Like,
you
um,
and you fucking both, man.
yeah. And so, but it was funny is because like I wanted to do. So there was a few things that I still have in my possession. Like we did. So I was like I was in a band. Like I said, the origins of it was like hip hop, but it kind of like other people got involved and it became this whole like other thing. And shit, we did. I mean, within the scope of what we did, there was like songs we did that were like more almost like Iron Maiden fucking parody music. Like shit was weird. And but I don't know, man. I'm trying to fuck. I'll get back to me on that. I'll come up with something dope
No,
as
for
far
sure.
as my most memorable, because nothing stands out as like the one. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, man.
I'd have to
There's
think.
got to be one.
I
There's
might have to
more.
ask. I might have to ask Mike
This is what you need to
Tacklebox.
do. What you need to do is, and it just, because I'd be curious. I'd be curious to see the response reaction. So if you can like find find like one of your old like hip hop songs or whatever, right? Like whatever, find one that is like a neutral song, and then I'll find one of mine that's a neutral song, and then you need to put together like a 5-track whatever and throw like a three new things and then throw ours in there and see if anybody can fucking tell.
Which one's the old?
Yes, which one's the old one, bro? Or say these are 5 new fucking songs and see if they hold up. I'd be curious to see what we're fucking at.
That would be interesting. Interesting project. I like it. I gotta get with Mike Tacklebox to see like what he's got still in the like on digital. Yeah, that's be interesting because it's funny because I thought of that. Like I wanted to try to transfer shit so I could put it like just for a goof, like some of my shit like in the interludes of the podcast.
Yeah.
I thought about doing that because I still have shit like I said on disc. Uh, but yeah, as far as having it like in a digital form, like an MP3 version, especially now that like computers don't have fucking anywhere to put a disc. Like there was a quick little era where like that was the transfer of that would have been, but I didn't have anything going on, you know, media wise at that time to give a fuck about doing it. So now all of a sudden it's like, oh, that'd be dope to like have some shit to make happen.
Hell
But
yeah,
yeah, man.
man. It's awesome. I'd be interested to see how it plays out. You
Yeah,
might,
we'll have to do something. Oh, and then we also got to do the setting up shop somewhere fucking random. Um,
bro.
I mean,
I am for that. All we need is an amp and a plug, and that's it.
yeah, I know. I'm sure I've got people who've got some shit I could at the very least like borrow because I
You
had.
don't even need it, bro. You take the Deep MC's setup.
Oh, that's right. You fucking okay, yeah. Because yeah, my shit's more like I just have my fucking laptop and a microphone. But yeah,
No,
you got a little setup there. So yeah, fuck it. We're already equipped. Fucking ready for
all we
battle.
need is the amplifier, man, and that's it. Otherwise, we just be recording into ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. We'll fucking dude. We'll make that shit happen, dude. I got to figure out. I went to probably go a couple more to do today. Have you ever been to Cidercade down there off of Navigation? It's like
Yeah,
it's one. Oh, you have?
yeah.
You've been there? Oh, fucking shit, it's dope, dude. I went this for the first time today. I was off, and my sister in law is like, yeah, we should go. She told me a few days ago, and at first I thought it wasn't going to happen because I was originally scheduled off on the day that we were gonna do, and then like if things got fucked up and I had to go in, so I was like, fuck. Like I was so pissed, dude. I was like, because I had these plans and it was all ready to go, and I was excited. I was actually excited about something I was fixing to do, like a couple days in the future, which doesn't. That's a fucking rarity for me. Normally, it's
Yeah.
just like every day, wake up and figure it out. So like I had like some shit to look forward to. I was like, oh, dude, this dope. And then the shit plans came crashing down. I was so furious. But then like a little glimmer of hope, she was able to get the next day off because it was going to be like she was going to have to work on the day I was off, and it got all fucked up. But we were able to go, and man, that shit was fucking fun as hell. Matter of fact, that kind of turned me on to cider a little bit because what this place is, it's an arcade, right? They have the majority of their the back walls lined up with pinballs machines, which I love the fuck out of pinball. And then it's got like all your old school arcade cabinets. And it's a shitload. Like it's big, dude. Like there's a couple other car arcades I've been to, a lot smaller scale. But yeah, this is a real setup. $10 cover, and then you can bring your own food in, but then you have to buy their drinks, which it's like a, what do you call it, Bishop Cider Company, I guess, is their all the drinks there. So I was like, oh fucking, I'll try it. So had a couple drinks, man, and shit was fucking amazing. I'm gonna go back. 5-star recommendation. But
if they haven't been, they gotta go. It's a really cool place. And even if you don't drink in like arcades,
Oh yeah, I mean
go
there was
down there and have some fun.
we went in the morning, so there wasn't that many people, but like there was definitely like a handful of people that were just came in, paid the $10, and just were playing or whatever. So yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, man, I'm gonna get some now that I've spoke about it on air. Yeah, I guess I gotta come. I gotta come with some lines, man. I have to dip
Same,
into the
man.
old notebooks, and I
That's
mean, I'm
right.
still, dude, to this day, like I don't even like write like that anymore. But it's still so part of my um, psyche, I guess, that I have like stacks of fucking notebooks and shit with just bullshit. That like, uh, yeah, that's interesting, man. I haven't talked about this in a long time. That's why it's kind of refreshing. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Dude,
But
it's a part of your life, bro. You got to bring it back.
yeah, maybe I guess so. It's been definitely touched upon, but anyway, yeah, I guess it's kind of late. I guess I should probably pump the brakes on this thing. Man, we went for a good hour 45. So I think this will go down as a bonus episode. Uh, I'll pull the audio and see. I think the connection might have kind of came in and out, but fuck it. Well, however I can salvage it, I'm gonna put this shit out, and you can chalk this up as deep noise too.
Hey,
Um,
there you go, my man.
so yeah, we did tell you this was going to be a regular phenomenon. So it just so happened it worked out. That was meant to be, sir. Because I was very close to just closing the laptop down, but I was like, you know what? I just got a feeling I should go live tonight for some reason. And then lo and behold, you know,
Boom. There it is.
boom, there it is. Who knew? It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, Shep, thank you so much for coming on. That was a surprise and a pleasant surprise at that. So thank you.
Yes, sir,
This
man. Thank you
this
for
is this was very fun. Glad we got to catch up a little bit. So we'll do this again. So look for a public space near you in the Houston area. Probably. I don't think we're gonna do
doing that
much
real live.
traveling to make this out. But yeah, we're going really fucking live, right up your ass live.
We're gonna be live, going live, man. I
That's
can't
right,
wait.
bro. You can smell the fucking cologne. That's how fucking live it's gonna be. So get ready for that. Good things are on the way. Thanks, Shep. I'm about to shut it down. Everybody who was listening, this wasn't a whole fucking lot of y'all, but you probably will on the the fucking recorded version.
Hey, back.
Uh,
Yeah, man.
laid back. All right, we'll see y'all late. Late, Shep. Thanks, man.
Later.
Late.